Are you a business owner that's so tired of being the only one that get things done right? Maybe your team members are missing deadlines, or they're just stuck and they're not taking initiative. That's what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to talk about Leadership Bootcamp and how Leadership Bootcamp helps you solve that problem. So, Dr. Sabrina, just dig in right here.
Well, as soon as you just said your team members keep making mistakes and there's problems and they're not taking initiative to solve them, I just felt that heaviness. And I remember being in that spot myself as a business owner, and it's this feeling of hopelessness that starts to set in. So I want to just offer you that there is hope. And I want to talk about our natural tendency as business owners when we see our team members screwing up and we get frustrated. Our tendency is to just dig in and fix it ourselves. And so that undermines our team members taking initiative. They're not going to want to take initiative. And it kicks off the dreaded M word, micromanaging. And that is where you start paying more and more attention to the team members who are making those mistakes, and you're starting to hover and you're starting to become much more detailed with do it this way and do it that way. And then the mistakes keep happening and it's more and more frustrating. And we need to break that cycle, because micromanagement is why A players leave businesses. So yes. No A player wants to be micromanaged. Employee happiness has a lot to do with the freedom that your team members feel in their role to take initiative and get things done. And as soon as you are saying it has to be done this way, you have a micromanagement problem and you are going to be at risk for losing your A players. And so really we want to talk about, how do you get out of this micromanaging? And I think one of the first steps to getting out of micromanaging is ensuring that you have hired A players. So remember, A players are capable, they're competent, they have ideas, they take initiative, they are good communicators, and they're great problem solvers. So when they encounter an obstacle, they don't just stop and wait for you to come along. They dive in. But the problem that happens is if you have an A player who has all this A player energy, and then they start doing things, they're diving into solving problems, but that they are not necessarily solving the right problem. And then you're getting more and more frustrated. A lot of times when you have a one-to-one with the A player and you get curious about, walk me through your thinking, what you realize if they're talking through their thinking with you is they are trying to solve a different problem than you were thinking they were trying to solve. It may not be the most important problem. So again, this ties back to what we talked about on the last episode, decision-making parameters. So those A players need these decision-making parameters. I talk extensively about this in the 4-week vacation book, by the way. So if anybody does not have their copy of the 4-week vacation, it's right here. It's available on Amazon. And when you take our Better Business, Better Life assessment, you may receive a signed copy from me of the 4-week vacation book. So you can take the assessment at tapthepotential.com/assessment. But as your A players are learning how to make decisions, you want to applaud their efforts to make decisions, not the results. So that is a key difference, Melissa, around micromanagement, because we're shifting the focus. The business owner, as business owners, we are wired to notice what's wrong in the business, and we notice all the things that are wrong. And we're going to put more emphasis there. But when we start looking for what's right and the wins and successes that are happening in the business, that's where the feeling of succeeding, I'm succeeding as a business owner, starts to happen, but it also starts to shift the culture in the business. So A players start to feel more freedom to try things because you are starting to look for when they're taking initiative, which is very different from looking for when they're making mistakes. So we're shifting our focus as the business owner to what are the wins and successes. Oh, it's the taking initiative. That's where we want to put our emphasis, and we want to applaud that. And then as the team member takes initiative, asking the questions of walk me through. So you chose to do it this way. Walk me through how you came to the conclusion that you were going to do it this way. And a lot of times that's where the misunderstandings around priorities in the business and the decision-making parameters will surface. So it creates an opportunity to realign. Every one-to-one meeting that you have with your team members creates that opportunity to realign around priorities in the business and talk about, here's our sweet spot. This is the key result you're responsible for. A lot of times when micromanaging is going on, team members don't know what their key result is. They've lost sight of it, and the business owner has too, because the business owner becomes more concerned about, are they following the checklist versus are they delivering the result? And oftentimes the checklist was created by a different team member, and maybe it worked for how that team member learns and does things, but it doesn't work for how this team member learns and does things. And so when you shift to, here's the result that we need to get, share with me your ideas about how we can accomplish this result. A lot of times the team member will have shortcuts, and they will see things that maybe there were 5 steps over here being followed, but the same result can be achieved with 2 steps. And that simplifies things. As soon as you can simplify a checklist, you reduce opportunities for errors. And I know this firsthand because I'm somebody who can take something that can be done in 10 steps and I can create 30 for them. And inevitably our team members will come through and say, oh, this could be done. I could do this in 5 steps. We can totally simplify this. And when they have the freedom to do that, and the focus is on deliver the result, and that's when they really start to own their result. And this is what we are working on in Leadership Bootcamp with those A players, is what is my result that I'm responsible for? How does it tie to the sweet spot? How do I bring my strengths as an A player into delivering this result?
That's incredible. And it ties back to knowing that the team members understanding the vision of the business and knowing the key result of their role overall. I want to talk about micromanaging. I'm going to bring up a couple of situations that have happened in our groups this past couple of weeks and just get your insight for our listeners. One situation is a business owner planned a vacation and then said, well, I'm just going to pop back in during the middle of my vacation and support my team members so that I don't have as much to do when I come back. That's one situation. And the next one is a business owner gave a key team member something to own in their role and then really stepped back in and said, well, this is how I need you to do it. Yeah. And then it showed up. Even though they said, you've got this, they took it back. So those are a couple of things that are coming up for me with our clients. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are there and how Leadership Bootcamp solves those problems.
Bless that first business owner's heart. I mean, right? The business owners, their thought is, I feel guilty for taking time away and leaving my team here to handle things. And I want them to feel like I support them. So I'm going to interrupt my vacation and come back and support them. So the intention is all good on the business owner. But what really happens is we are undermining the confidence of our team members when we do that. It's a subtle mixed message that says, I don't really trust you that you have this. So I'm going to come and be the mom who just kind of peeks around the corner to make sure you got this. And that totally takes away team member confidence. So you got to take those vacations. You got to trust your team members. And then if there are issues when you get back, work through those issues and ask the team members what ideas do they have and what could be done in the future to prevent the problem that arose. So that's the first situation. The second situation is where you are delegating and then it's not done the way you think it should be done and you take it back. So really, this is an issue of patience. Patience is a hard one for us business owners. We want change, we want results, we want to just keep moving. And we're not giving time and space for thinking to happen and learning to happen. And so we're intervening too quickly in the wrong way and creating a dynamic where the team members feel micromanaged. So the step that needs to happen in between before you delegate or when you've delegated it, you see it being done wrong, things are not going right, and then you're stepping back in and taking it back, is that getting curious with the team member and saying, walk me through how you came to this conclusion that this is the way that to be done. Talk to me, and then listen to the team member and then say, talk to me about the results that you're seeing from doing it that way. That conversation can be very illuminating. Maybe they're paying attention to different results than you're paying attention to. That could be one outcome, right? But the other outcome could be that there's not clarity on the results that are needed, that you as the business owner are more focused on doing something right versus, again, getting that result. So it becomes an opportunity to say, here's, again, to align around the result, and then to say to the team member, what ideas do you have for how to achieve this result? And what are you noticing that is working to achieve this result? And what are you noticing that's not working to achieve this result? And I want to clarify that all of this assumes the team member has been properly trained from the beginning. And that's not always the case in small business. So that is an assumption. And if there is a training gap, you do want to go back in and retrain and fill in that gap. But again, you don't want to take it back. You are retraining and letting them go forward again. And then you're monitoring the results with them. And what you should see if it was a training gap and you have an A player is after you have retrained, you should see a steady increase or steady improvement with a little bit of slide back. If you are seeing steady improvement and big slide backs and you're constantly having to talk about the same issues, that is probably a role that is not a good fit for that team member.
Sure. So talk to me about Leadership Bootcamp. Is this for the business owner? Is this for the team member? Is it for both?
No, Leadership Bootcamp is exclusively for the A players on our clients' teams. They don't want the business owners in the room. And it's not because they're going to talk bad about the business owners. It is because this creates a safe environment for them to learn about the sweet spot of the business, their strengths, how they can use their strengths to support the sweet spot and drive the profitability in the business. And essentially, Leadership Bootcamp is a 6-week course that was designed because our clients were telling me, I am learning a lot in the Better Business, Better Life program, and I am making all these changes in my business and trying to simplify things just like you guys are teaching me. And I get so much confusion and pushback from my team members when I try to explain to them all the things that we're doing differently and why. And the hard thing as a business owner is when you're learning all this new stuff, it is very hard to then turn around right away and teach it to your team members. So you have this learning curve that you have to go through, which can take months for you to really go through that change and change your mindset and your strategy. And then if you have to then turn around and teach it to your team members, that can take months. So that we're now talking about a process that could take a couple of years before you see real change in your business. None of us have time for that. We need profitability in our small businesses right now. And so Leadership Bootcamp is boot camp. It is a 6-week intensive for your team members so that they are getting a big shot in the arm to add more muscle to your business so that you can have that momentum right away. And that's where we see that it is so powerful for our clients who put team members in Leadership Bootcamp. Because now they have thinking partners, they have allies in the business who aren't waiting to be told what to do. They know now how to take initiative and they start running with it.
Wow. This is so powerful. And I love that team members have a space to come and learn and grow without the business owner being there. So how do we get our team members signed up, Dr. Sabrina?
Very simple. Go to tapthepotential.com/leadership and sign your team members up right there. There's a savings when you're sending multiple team members through. And I also recommend that you have a conversation with Caitlin, who is our hiring and leadership development strategist on the Tap the Potential team. Caitlin will be able to listen to the challenges that you are having with your team members, and she will be able to make strong recommendations as to whether or not like you don't have an A player, you thought you had an A player, but and she'll tell you straight up if somebody should or should not be in Leadership Bootcamp. And that's often a question that we get is, this person's not performing well. I don't know if they should be in Leadership Bootcamp, or maybe I just need to fire them. So Caitlin will be able to walk you through that. She will also be able to help you identify gaps for yourself in how you are leading and support you in utilizing our Better Business, Better Life program more effectively. So there's tremendous value in having that conversation with Caitlin. You can book that call at tapthepotential.com and just get on Caitlin's calendar. She would be happy to talk with you.
This is great information. And I would suggest that you take quick action because spots do fill up very quickly.
Yes.
And
we have had situations when we've offered Leadership Bootcamp in the past where we had to turn people away because we keep the cohorts very small so that your team members get lots of individual attention. So this is not something to sit on and wait if you want to get somebody in there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Sabrina. And thank you everyone for tuning in. We will see you next week.